Hello guys, welcome to this video. Uh, there were no new uploads on my channel because of my mid-sem exams and I was busy with college stuff. And so anyway, this video I'll discuss a very interesting question, and not a question exactly, I'll just share my experience. And this is very important because I know at least some of you are definitely interested in this. So yeah, as you can see from the title of the video, uh, this video is about what my 3+ years of struggle with metaphysics has taught me. So as some of you know that when from around 2020 to 2022, like for these 3 years, I was sort of like nothing less than obsessed with metaphysics, and I I even wrote a book. It can be called a long essay rather than a book, but anyway, that's on the fundamental nature of reality. And even in my first serious book, the Our Physics So Far, even there I have included a lot of metaphysical discussions in the original edition mainly, also in the updated edition, but mainly in the original edition. And at that time, during these 3 years, I studied a lot of metaphysics online or by buying books and stuff, and I was really interested in metaphysics. And there were moments when I even thought whether I should choose metaphysics over physics, whether metaphysics can answer the ultimate questions, whether physics is constrained and limited, all these things. But today, like now, I have chosen physics over metaphysics, obviously. And uh, and now, if you have been following my posts or my my the updated edition of Our Physics So Far, and all these things, then you'd know that lately I have lost my faith in metaphysics, and I sort of, like, I always say that metaphysics is probably useless, and maybe I shouldn't be that harsh. Maybe that's not true, but anyway, I don't speak highly of metaphysics. I'm no more obsessed with metaphysics. I have chosen physics and I'm happy with physics. It doesn't mean like physics is easy, but it definitely is enjoyable. It's not like I'm doing undergraduate course in physics, so of course it's not easy. But it's enjoyable. It's surely enjoyable, at least to me. So why have I chosen physics over metaphysics? The answer of this is given in the updated edition of my book very clearly. I have devoted over 3 to 4 pages of this in the last chapter on the fundamental nature of reality. Yeah, that was the name of my metaphysics book as well, but that's I have unpublished it, so you'll not get that book anywhere. uh, and I don't think like that's anything important, like Our Physics So Far. Okay, unlike Our Physics So Far. So anyway, uh, so what I've learned, a few things, like 3 to 4 things during my these 3 years of wrestling with metaphysical ideas. So the first thing is that metaphysics can give you mental satisfaction. And I think this is a phase. I think this phase comes in the life of everyone, like almost everyone. Like um, in many cases, we see that when a scientist or just an ordinary man, when he grows old, he becomes a bit drawn towards philosophy and metaphysics. And it's not just restricted to old age people. Even like consider my case. I was only 17 years old, and at that point of time I became like, anyone who has the urge to explore the ultimate questions of the universe will at some point of time find metaphysics to be very appealing, and will engage in metaphysical discussions, and will engage in metaphysical thoughts, and this will give them a lot of mental satisfaction. I mean, I know it because this happened for me. Now, for some, this is so much that they devote their entire life to metaphysics. Otherwise, for others like me, they this continues for a few years, few months, few years, whatever, and then they move on to something else. Like I've moved on to physics. So, but yeah, I have maintained an interest in metaphysics. It's not like I don't. It's not like I've completely shut myself to metaphysics. I occasionally read some articles about metaphysics, and I mean, I'm still interested in it, and I consider it as important subject. Obviously, not important as important as physics, but still, it's not. It's I don't consider it to be a waste of time. That's for sure. So so the thing is that the reason why thinking about metaphysics is very satisfying. Number one is that it I might be wrong, but it it doesn't require any hard, like any deep thinking, any logical or analytical thinking or any calculations, which like most, like we love physics from reading popular science books on physics, from watching like movies like Oppenheimer or Interstellar, and then getting obsessed with quantum mechanics and stuffs like, these black holes, like, and all these things, and then we uh, watch some interesting YouTube videos and we get interested in physics. But then when we start to learn physics at the technical level, like the equations, the sums, then many of us lose interest. It's true, and because however you might love a subject, these sums, these calculations, these equations, and all this, it's not appealing. I mean, it's not something you would want to come back to. It's not, you know what I mean. If you are very extremely dedicated that yes, I want to investigate the universe, then you work hard and you make yourself good at math. Like, this is the case for most people. There are some exceptions, there are some geniuses also, and like for some people it comes naturally. But if you are so dedicated, then you like force yourself to do physics. But otherwise you'll just lose your interest in physics and you just move on. But in case of metaphysics, it's these mathematics, these equations, and like these kind of things, they are not needed at all, and it's much less rigorous. And it's the thing is that we humans, like, we have a habit, we have a urge of asking metaphysical questions, like from the time of our ancestors, from the time of our hunter gatherers, because if you see this from the evolutionary point of view, like, asking questions about the nature means we will learn more about the nature, which will help us in our survival, uh, directly or indirectly. So even the ancient peoples, they asked questions like, what is time, what is God, why does, like, these kind of questions, right? And so it is hardwired in us, in our genetics, in our brain, in our, like, it's hardwired that we get attracted to the questions of metaphysics, because we have been doing it for a long time from our ancestors. But our ancestors didn't know physics. Like, physics did not even exist at that point of time, and our ancestors, they didn't know physics. And these mathematics, and of course physics and mathematics, they mattered a lot. They without them, our modern life could not be imagined. But at that point of time, physics and mathematics would have minimal implications on them. They would not have let them survive better. So physics and mathematics came a lot after metaphysics, so we are less hardwired to it. And that's why we, like, I think this is just my opinion. I think we inwardly, we are more attracted to metaphysics than to physics. This is just an instinct, and in some of us it shows more, and in some of us less. So this is the first thing I've learned, that metaphysics can give you a lot of mental satisfaction, but you, and I'm not saying that metaphysics is harmful or anything. It's a waste of time or anything. Do metaphysics, if you want to do metaphysics, of course do it. But just keep in mind that metaphysics, like metaphysics is in some sense, from some aspects, useless. So you have to prioritize whether you want to do some real science in your life, or whether you just want to feel satisfied mentally, or whatever, or both. So, like, I've chosen both. For instance, I think about metaphysics occasionally, but I don't devote myself too much into it. And at least now, forget about 2 3 years back. So so with I think about metaphysics, and I because it gives me satisfaction, nothing more. And but I think about physics because it gives me more satisfaction. So the thing is that you should always remember that metaphysics, there, like, it there is no way to know whether it converges to the truth or not. Like, maybe you'll say metaphysics converges to the truth, like, because it's fundamental, it's logical. But the thing is that it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to know what is fundamental, like any fundamental truth. Like, I have said this many times in my articles and stuffs. Like, what 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 seems logical and fundamental to you may not hold outside of this universe or outside of this system, or and it's impossible for us to know. It's actually impossible. I'm not saying it's due to a technological barrier or something. It's just plain impossible. It will never be possible on, like, any time. So if you don't know what your basic assumptions are, what your basic working hypotheses are, that means whatever you're building, the castle you're building it on sand. It will collapse. It can collapse anytime. You have no solid foundation for that. So although it seems like metaphysics can answer the big questions which even physics can't, because you can arrive at these questions using just pure logic. This is there is no guarantee that metaphysics converges to the truth. Physics, on the other hand, again we cannot say for sure that physics converges to the truth, but like again this will be a very like I don't want to go into pseudo scientific discussion, and but yeah, at least this we can say that physics is based on our observations, based on our evidence, and physics must apply to our immediate world, and not just immediate world, using our techniques and stuff we have. uh, uh, Today we know a lot about our distant about the entire universe, for instance, and even the entire atoms, like inside the atoms, like both in a large scale and the small scale. Metaphysics lets you create a. I've said this, I guess, in one of my previous YouTube community posts, but let me say that once again. Metaphysics builds a world of its own and lets you explore that world. You'll find you'll love it. You'll love exploring that world, but there is no guarantee that this world is truth. Physics, on the other hand, and in general science, converges to the truth. Now, again, uh, you may ask whether truth is subjective, whether truth is objective, and all that. So, I don't want to go into that discussion right now in today's video. But yeah, that's the main thing. So, you have to prioritize what you want in life to find the truth, because, like I, for instance, believe that nothing can be a substitute for truth, and one or two do metaphysics or both. But even if you choose both, I would say you should devote lesser time to metaphysics than you're devoting to science or physics. The next thing which I've learned is that, yeah, what was it? Give me a second. Yeah, so this first of all, this is a question of philosophy. Ironically, very ironically, that is a question of ethics more like. Uh, should we care about the betterment of mankind? Like some people think that, like, I'm here for 80 90 years, the 70 80 years, 90 is a bit anyway. So I don't like, I just want to enjoy my life. I just want to have access to all the basic necessities, and I just want to, so why should I waste my like some people think this way, why should I waste my life thinking about improving the condition of living, improving the society, for the betterment of mankind, because I'm not gonna live forever, and why should I care about the future generations? While other there are also another group of people who think that we are here, it's our responsibility to do good to mankind, it's a responsibility to improve the quality of living, and they devote their life to the sciences, like for instance these medical researchers and who are researching the cure to cancers or Alzheimer's or whatever. So and not just medical researchers, even physicists, like there are a lot of examples, if not even outside of science there are a lot of examples. So the thing is that if you belong to the second group, then obviously metaphysics will be a waste of time to you, and because will hardly, metaphysics can give you personal satisfaction, and in the very very unlikely case metaphysics might help you think in some new way and make some discovery in science which may further have some applications. But this is a very unlikely case, but mostly metaphysics will not help us improve the condition of living. Metaphysics will not help us solve the energy crisis or find a cure for Alzheimer's. Science can do that. So if that's your target, then obviously you think that metaphysics is a waste of time, and in that case you choose science. This is somewhat like, I'm not a like I, I belong to the second group, but I'm not very much dedicated to, like I'm not doing science just for the betterment of society. I'm also doing science to satisfy my inner curiosity and to fulfill my quest of understanding the universe as well. I know that sounds a bit selfish, that is a bit selfish maybe, but I'm not doing science just for the betterment of society, but that is also a reason, that's one of the reasons. So obviously this is what I've learned from metaphysics, that metaphysics is not practical, it can never do us any practical good, so we should devote less time to it. At least, like, it depends on you really. So this is the second thing which I learned from metaphysics, from these 3 years of struggle with metaphysics. The next thing, and this is probably going to be the last thing, so I have not made any notes or something because first, like, I'm in a bit of a hurry. I cannot devote too much time to this video. So, but anyway, the next thing that comes to my mind, and this is probably the last point, yeah, is that metaphysics is like what to say, give me a second. Yeah. So last point is that it seems like, by the way, I'm giving some 3 links in the description, like 3 articles, online articles, free, you can read them. So i I'm not saying they are uh, an exact repetition of what I said in this video. But they are the author's own opinions. So if you are interested more in this topic of why, like, metaphysics versus physics, then you can just look at the articles. They're awesome articles. You can just check that out in the description. The link is okay. Anyway, so yeah, the third point is that it might seem that see, scientists, or more specifically physicists, they work with data, they work with numbers, they work with data, which is a solid evidence, which is an an objective thing, sort of. So they have some basis for the claims, and they're much better positioned to answer the questions about the reality. And metaphysicists, on the other hand, they are just speculating. They're like armchair reasoning. Sherlock Holmes, there was a, like, they're just spinning theories, sitting in their armchairs. They're not doing any real science. They don't have evidence for what they say. And that's true, of course, that's true. So in the extremely unlikely case that our world is an illusion and all this science and everything, this, which is an extremely unlikely case, and all this, simulation and stuff. So that's an extremely unlikely case, and that is a case which I think, like, you should see, many things are possible. It's not like impossible. Nothing is impossible. I mean, there are many things which are possible, but you need to prioritize what is a realistic choice and what is a possible choice, because some possibilities are very unrealistic, and like, they may happen after tens of thousands or millions of years. So it's possible, theoretically it's possible, but believing in that and acting according to that will be a foolish thing to do, because that's not possible in your lifetime, and so for all practical purposes it's impossible. And so you just need to decide, like, whether it's possible. There are many things that are possible, but you have to decide whether you should devote enough time to it. You should devote enough time to only those things which matter to you, not that it's just because it's possible. So I think we can ignore this extremely unlikely case, because if it is true, there is nothing we can do, for instance. And there are a lot of contradictions. Like, if it's true, then we wouldn't have thought of this also. There, some people will argue that, and most likely it's false. So we just ignore this case, ignore this solution. Like, it's you can call it a trivial solution of our equation, sort of. So the non-trivial solution is this: that metaphysics, that what physicists are doing, they are converging as a truth, while metaphysics is not. And this is somewhat repetition of the first point I said, and but yeah, this is what I wanted to say in this video. And just please check out the description. And yeah, that's all, guys. Thank you very much. If you would like to say anything on this topic, please comment, and thank you.